Longhorn fans, Sooner Nation, welcome to episode 42 of the Bevo Podcast, the only podcast exclusively dedicated to covering the greatest rivalry in college football, the University of Texas and the University of Oklahoma. I'm here with my man Kevin Miller. I am John Whitson. We are a day out of National Signing Day. The story that was going to lead the Bevo podcast was Tassili Akana choosing the University of Texas over Oklahoma. But as of Thursday, December 22nd at around 3 p.m., that story was overshadowed by the switch back, switch to, switch away from, double back switch, whatever you want to call it. When Peyton Bowen decommitted from Oregon after picking the hat on National Signing Day in front of a national audience and signing with the Oklahoma Sooners. Kevin, after never have been committed, he was never, ever committed to Oklahoma, and yet chooses Oklahoma over Notre Dame, over a commitment for a day to Oregon. What in the world happened from an outside looking in perspective with Peyton Bowen going to Oklahoma?
Well, it seems like he just wanted to go to OU, right? I mean, we had heard all this smoke for the last couple months that he was likely going to flip to OU. I mean, maybe he wasn't sure, but everything we were hearing leading up to signing day was that he was going to flip to OU. It seems to me that maybe Oregon came in late with a really good NIL offer that he felt was too good to turn down. He takes the Oregon offer, or at least says yes to it, and then, but never send. He signed the letter, signed it right there at his ceremony, but apparently never sent it in. Got to thinking on it and said, you know what, maybe Oregon isn't the place for me. Maybe OU is where I truly want to be. And he did what he felt was best for him. So good for him.
So I can say this, folks. My man Kevin Miller was the one. He was the one talking me off the ledge yesterday at noon. He was telling me,
it's a common occurrence, by the way, just so you know.
I am consistently on the edge. I am on the edge, on the ledge, whatever the expression is. Consistently there. Peyton Bowen chooses Oregon, only later for Akana to choose Texas. And Kevin Miller is telling me he hadn't signed yet. Now, did you know something? Did you have a feeling? Were you just kind of talking to me? Because I got to tell you, that was a very weird day yesterday with Peyton Bowen.
Well, listen, it was 4 p.m. One of the guys from rivals.com tweeted out that he hadn't sent in his letter of intent yet. And to me, if he hadn't sent it in, he committed, what was it, at 11?
Yeah.
And if it's 5 hours, you still haven't sent the letter, and that means you're still on the fence about it. I mean, that means there's still a chance. And anytime there's still a chance, you got to be excited about that.
I want to speak to every OU fan out there, both the ones that don't really know too much about recruiting, all the way up to the complete diehards that follow every single tweet by every recruit out there. This is a unique situation because for the first time in a long time, OU has won a recruiting battle, A, and B, we don't know the details. Maybe we'll never know the details, but the likelihood is that Peyton Bowen is turning down a significant NIL deal from Oregon to play football at OU. And that has to say something to OU fans. That should, A, bolster us way up in terms of where we stand and where we are in the rankings of football programs. And two, from a very micro concept, Bowen is a Sooner. He wants to be a Sooner. He doesn't just want to play football and get to the NFL. He wants to be a Sooner because if that wasn't the case, he'd be at Oregon right now. I firmly believe that. So Sooner fans out there, this is exactly the type of player, despite all the shenanigans, despite the never decommitting from Notre Dame, the hat and everything. For those that are interested, look at his Twitter. The kid apologized. He didn't have to do that. Plenty of stuff has happened in recruiting. Kid never had to apologize. He apologized to Notre Dame fan. He apologized to Oregon fan. But this is the kind of person that Brent Venables said he wanted to recruit, are kids that want to play here regardless of NIL. Oklahoma is going to be competitive with NIL, but it cannot be where we hang our hat. And I think Bowen is going to be the poster child of that. And I cannot wait to see Billy Bowman and Peyton Bowen in the same defensive backfield. I think it's going to be dynamic, Kevin.
Oh, yeah, this guy, I mean, we're talking about a top 10 player in the country, regardless of position. So, yeah, if you have him back there with the Billy Bowman, I mean, that has to really excite you just to see what that can look like, even if it's for 1 year. And if you're an OU fan, you hope you only get that for 1 year, because that means Billy Bowman has a great year, goes to the NFL. And when you recruit guys like this, you want them on campus for 3 years, because guess what? The next batch of recruits is going to see, whoa, he's going to the league after 3 years. I want to go there. Look at Ohio State.
No, absolutely.
Their receiver position, right? You send these guys in the first round, then you get the next group, then you get the next group. Now they're all recruiting 5 stars at wide receiver there. So this is what you want as an OU fan.
Oklahoma signs 3 5-stars, Jackson Arnold, the aforementioned Peyton Bowen, and Adepojo Adebari, the edge rusher.
I'm a big fan of him, by the way.
And 13 4-stars, which I think is significant. It's not a very top-heavy class, but it's also not, a top-heavy class has the potential of giving you 3 or 4 really great players and then a bunch of 3-stars. No, 13 4-stars highlighted by Jacoby Johnson, wide receiver out of Mustang. I mentioned him because I also graduated from Mustang. Caden Green, both offensive tackle out of Lee Summit. Samuel Asamasigo out of Crandall, Texas. And Derek LeBlanc out of Kissimmee, Florida, among others. Those are the ones I hit on, largely because it speaks to where we need, not just Oklahoma, any college football program needs offensive tackles, they need linebackers, and they need defensive linemen. We got all of that along with a 5-star quarterback, the number 10 rated player in the country, and a really, really good edge rusher in Adebari. I mean, Kevin, here's the problem. This is what got lost in the Peyton Bowen Cecilia Kana saga yesterday, right? Is that this was a very good class for Brent Venables without Peyton Bowen. It was a very good class. And you were going to be ranked 7th after finishing 6-6. You were going to be ranked 7th in recruiting. So it gets lost that this coaching staff is delivering on recruits. Right? Now you add Peyton Bowen. Now it's all roses. My goodness, our coaching staff knows exactly what they're doing. They're some of the best coaches out there. I just think that it's unfortunate that signing day was kind of marred by the losses, but it's nice that OU gets to make the splash with Bowen. But this recruiting class from top to bottom, it's pretty legit, dude.
Oh, yeah. I'm a big fan of Jaquez Petaway, the wide receiver. I think he's a guy that can play right away. I really like Makari Vickers. I know Texas have recruited him a little bit out of Tallahassee, Florida. He's a safety. He's a guy I can see playing right away for you guys. And the Omasigo kid from Crandall, I think he's a 4-star guy, but I think he's a little underrated. I think he's a really good player. So, and also, I know he's not really considered in the recruiting class, but you guys picking up the transfer, Hassan McCullough from Indiana. I mean, that is huge. This guy was a borderline 5-star guy. And he's not one of those guys who transferred because he wasn't getting on the field. He only went to Indy. He was supposed to go to Ohio State. He only went to Indiana because his dad was on the coaching staff. Now his dad's at Notre Dame. So get a guy like that. I mean, this is an instant starter for you.
And don't forget, it brings his brother, a 4-star safety out of Indiana, Dave McCullough. I mean, this was a 2-for-1 deal that again got overshadowed. It really did. It got picking up that other safety got overshadowed by the Bowen thing. I know I keep saying that, but it's true. We had a very good class. Bowen makes it a great class. And then real quick, also on the transfer portal, real quick, we haven't talked Austin Stogner, so that's a storyline coming out of the transfer portal. But as of today, the 22nd, we got Reggie Pearson, defensive back out of Texas Tech, in the transfer portal. Now, my first thought was, why do I want a defensive back out of Texas? This is my first thought, right? Is why do I want a defensive back out of Texas Tech? that doesn't even compute in my brain. And then someone said, oh, no, John. He's the dude that laid out Eric Gray and Dylan Gabriel. And I go, holy crap, I want that dude. We talked about it right here on the podcast, that's the kind of dude you're going to play against. You'll play against 11 of those guys against when you start going to the SEC. I am fired. I get Texas Tech is insanely pissed right now that this kid just transferred to Oklahoma.
Oh, yeah, Joey McGuire has to be going nuts. I mean, to lose a guy like that who's a big playmaker in the secondary and brings that kind of physical presence, yeah, that's a huge loss for Tech. And to lose him to a conference rival.
Oh, I got to tell you, this has been a very good week for Oklahoma. We're going to talk about the bowl game. I think we're going to need as much goodwill and good thoughts as we can going into this bowl game because Florida State's going to be tough. Real quick, just to compare OU and Texas, and then we'll talk about Texas. OU, 3 5-stars, 13 4-stars. Texas, 4 5-stars and 10 4-stars. Still, though, a really good recruiting class. Everybody that we've kind of already talked about. I want to hear about them. But y'all were a very drama-free signing day, with the exception of adding Cecilia Kana, which was a big win over Oklahoma. I think when OU had thought they lost Peyton Bowen, I thought Akana was a bigger loss because he was going to Texas, and we were going to have to face him every year. This is a very, very big win for you guys and a loss for Oklahoma. Tell us what everybody's feeling about Akana, and then break the rest of the class down.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, they've been recruiting this kid for a while, right? He came down to visit for the Alabama game, so got to take in that insane atmosphere that day. But after that, it kind of gotten quiet. And from everything we heard, he seemed to be leaning towards going to OU. I think we all expected that. And I think over the last week before signing against Texas, apparently put the full court press on.
Yeah.
And got him to change his mind at the last minute. Obviously, it helps with his sister is on the volleyball team that just won a national championship. I think for a parent, if you're all the way in Hawaii, I know he moved to Utah. He finished his high school out in Utah, but he's from Hawaii, right? I think that's where his parents still live. So to be able to have both of your kids on the same campus, especially when you're that far away, I'm sure that's a huge sense of comfort for them. So I'm sure that played a big factor in it too. But we're excited about the talent. I mean, he's a guy who I don't know if he's going to be physically ready to play this year, but in a couple years, I think he can be a dynamic edge rusher. So yeah, man, we're really excited about it.
Is he going to? We didn't mention early enrollees for Oklahoma, but is he going to be an early enrollee for Texas? Is he going to be able to get into the? Okay, so that's going to be another tough thing to keep him from playing next year, or at least right out of the bat, is not having that the conditioning and everything that goes on in the spring.
Towards in spring, exactly.
All right, tell us. We know about Arch Manning. Clearly a second-rate quarterback compared to Jackson Arnold, but a high recruit nonetheless. Tell us about everybody else.
Y'all are the only ones who say that. I'm just saying.
Yeah, no, we are the only ones that say that. I cannot wait till Jackson Arnold plays in the Cotton Bowl against Arch Manning. Because here's how I pick. I always pick the OU Texas game. I always pick the OU Texas game based on 2 criteria. The coach and the quarterback. Whoever has the better coach, whoever has the better quarterback. And in this case, it will be Brent Venables and Jackson Arnold. It absolutely will be when those two up against each other. Well, Jackson Arnold's going to be a better quarterback. Dude, he won the Elite 11. He went to the semifinals in 6 A's.
No. I'm talking about the guy. Hold on. I'm talking about the coaching part.
Oh, dude, look. Dude, 6-6, and you get the numbers, and you get the number 5 recruiting class in the country. You just pull off the biggest recruiting coup of
recruiting class after going 5-7.
What's that?
Texas got the number 5 recruiting class last year after going 5-7.
Kevin, that's NIL money. That's just Texas NIL money. Your guys aren't even bought in. They're not even bought in. Venables got the number 5. I don't even think we paid NIL deals. I think they simply want to play for Brent Venables. Deals, I think they simply want to pay for Brent Venables. That's what I believe, and I can't be convinced otherwise. I'm kidding.
Look, I have no idea if Brent Venables is a good coach or a bad coach. I still don't know. Like I said, I'm not sold on Sark. This is not me out here proclaiming Sark to be the guy. You've heard me say on this podcast multiple times I'm not sold on him. But I don't know what Brent Venables is as a head coach at.
Well, he's 6-6 right now. He's 6-6 right now. I will grant you
that
that.
Red River game. I can't give him a pass for that, man.
It was
despite
bad. It was bad.
The quarterback not playing.
It doesn't matter.
Anyway, man, as far as the recruits go, yeah, Arch versus Jackson Arnold, though, it's going to be amazing. I'm excited. And here's the thing, man. Quinn Ewers doesn't step up, because what I've been hearing is that he is not exactly the biggest film junkie, doesn't put a ton of extra work in.
Well,
he doesn't change that
Kevin,
this offseason.
He's so special. Why would he have to do? I mean, he's just a special player.
Listen, the arm talent is there. You saw it firsthand. You saw it in person in Dallas. What he's about at his best. The thing about it is he just can't win off of talent anymore.
No.
Once the film got out on him, we saw what Oklahoma State did.
Yeah.
Right? If he doesn't step up that work ethic, I guarantee you Arch Manning will be starting for Texas at some point this year. I don't want that to happen. I don't want Arch on the field hardly at all this year. Not in a starting capacity. But
Arch is
the opposite.
Did Arch decide to early enroll?
He's an early enrollee.
Okay, so he's not playing basketball.
He's an early enrollee, so he'll be here. Yeah, gave up the hoop dreams. And he's a worker. This dude, all he does is he's a football junkie. He's like Peyton, basically. Lives in the film room.
Again, I'm an Oklahoma fan. I believe it'll bear itself out, but I believe we got the better quarterback. However, when it comes to what you're talking about there, he there's no way his brain doesn't have as much quarterbacking knowledge as is possible with that family. It's just impossible. I mean, because it's not just his uncle, it's his other uncle, and it's not just his it's not just his dad, but then it's his grandpa. I mean, he's got his grandpa and these two uncles. I mean, the knowledge there and the knowledge base and what to look for and what to expect and how to train and how to prepare. I got to tell you, compared to what we did see with Quinn Ewers and some of the decision-making he made, if it's a decision-making issue, I got to tell you, I'm probably thinking Arch is probably your guy. Arm talent, I don't know. We'll see. I mean, Quinn can sling it. That's true. But some of his decision-making is just not, and he's not good enough to just sling it without making good decisions.
He relies on the arm talent too much. At least we saw that a lot this year down the stretch. And again, I don't want Arch Manning to start this year. And we'll get to this, right? But I don't know if OU fan wants Jackson Arnold to start, at least not right away.
Oh, not if Dylan. I don't think so. Not if Dylan Gabriel's here. Okay. Outside of Arch, you had 3 other 5 stars. Who are they?
Yeah, Anthony Hill, linebacker out of Denton Ryan, high school teammates with Jatavian Sanders, Texas tight end, and of course Billy Bowman, OU safety. Talk about the talent on that team.
My God, Denton. What is up? What is up in Denton? Team. Yeah.
Seriously, man. And then of course they sent a corner. Geyer sent a corner to LSU too. In addition to the 2 guys that signed, the 2 5-stars that signed with OU. So a lot of talent out there. Anthony Hill, though, top linebacker in the country.
That's a big win
to Texas A&M.
Big win from A&M. Win from A&M.
Yeah, so he decommits from A&M. I think Texas kind of capitalized on the season that they had, right? Going with a 5-7 at A&M. And yeah, got him to go to Texas. So, man, we're really excited. He's a guy I think honestly can start from week 1. I think he's that kind of talent at linebacker. So, really looking forward to him. And then Derek Williams, safety out of Louisiana. This staff has actually shown a good ability to go down into Louisiana and get guys, even guys that LSU wants. So Derek Williams is also a guy who I think has a ton of potential and could be an early guy who really gets on the field early for Texas.
What are all your 5 stars are they all in early enrollees?
Anthony Hill is, Arch is. I'm not sure about Derek Williams, and Colton Bostic is. So, of course, we talked about him. Getting him to flip from OU to Texas was a huge win. Local kid. So I don't know how much of an impact he makes right away. We'll see how he, develops physically over the spring, but he's a guy that has a lot of potential. So, man, we're just really fired up for him.
What is Texas doing in the transfer portal right now? Any big wins?
It's been pretty quiet. Only 2 guys so far. They got a punter. They didn't have a punter on the roster. Their starting punter from last year was a senior, and then the other one, who was a backup, hit the portal.
Okay.
So they got a kid from Stanford to transfer to be the punter. And then they picked up a corner, Gavin Holmes. He was a starting cornerback at Wake Forest. Had a really good year for them, hit the portal, and he announced that he'll be coming to Texas yesterday. So
Wake had
building some depth.
Wake had a good year. It's hard to know. I mean, we don't know what those, how good those guys are, but
but listen, it's who you play against, right? More than who you play for, who you competed against. And going against the ACC, there's good teams in that conference. So, and I imagine if he leaves Wake Forest, then he's expecting to compete for a starting job. So that's who it is so far. I think they're waiting. They haven't thrown a ton of offers out to portal kids. I think they're waiting to see who else. Because remember, portal season is just getting started, right? They're going to be guys who come out after the bowl games, after the spring, even. So, and we're going to see some talented guys enter the portal still. So I think that's what they're holding off on.
Well, a couple other recruiting notes. A&M ranked 13th, but that's with David Hicks, and he is not signed yet, correct?
Correct.
Any chance of him going anywhere else, or you think he's pretty firm at A&M at this point?
Well, I mean, I've heard he's still firm, but the fact that he hasn't signed now, partially he may be wanting to have some sort of ceremony or commit at one of the All-Star games.
Well, I heard it's Friday. I actually heard it's tomorrow.
Okay. Yeah, so probably having a ceremony at his high school. Man, you never know, right? If the kid hasn't signed, everybody's still trying. You got a 5-star like that. Kind of like what people were saying about the Peyton Bowen thing, that it was drama and stuff. Listen, with talent like that, you just wait. You stay patient with them, right? You can't turn away talent like that. Same with David.
Dude, listen, I think that drama thing is I think a lot of people are blaming drama on NIL and stuff. Dude, there's been drama on recruiting since we laced up footballs. You know what I mean? Like,
these decisions, man, at 17, 18 years old.
And now, my point is 20 years, 30 years ago, there's drama. 40 years ago, there was drama. Right. I mean, look at the drama. We all watched The Best That Never Was with Marcus Dupree. There's drama around recruiting. And now you add that layer of NIL, and that just creates yet another piece of the puzzle that, you got to hear from your parents. You got to hear from your family. You got to hear from your girlfriend. You got to hear from your friends. You got to hear from your high school coach. You got to hear from all these guys. And now you get to what essentially is like an agent almost, probably working these deals for you.
Yeah.
It's like, dude, I got to tell you, that to me, that's what happened to Peyton Bowen, is that whoever that agent is that's responsible for kind of conducting that NIL stuff is like, dude, you got to take this. This is too good. This is too good to pass up. And,
nobody would blame him. I certainly wouldn't.
Listen, you can't blame these kids, dude. It doesn't, kids are going to make whatever decision they want. And all of us as fans need to first of all, I don't need to do anything because the Boomer Bevo Podcast Twitter page doesn't go out and publicly berate kids for doing this. We don't need to be publicly berating kids. Just because they're getting NIL money doesn't mean that they're any less adolescent than they are. You know what I mean? It's just, wait till they get on campus. Wait till they drop some kicks, drop some passes and fumble the ball. Then we can berate them all we want. Am I wrong about that?
Absolutely, but please continue.
Yeah, I know. I'm just digging myself into a hole. Anyway, Kevin, sometimes when you've dug yourself into a hole, like maybe in your life because you've had a insurance loss and it's just put you in the depths of despair, I want you to know you can call Brown O'Haver at 405-735-5510. Brown O'Haver will help dig you out of that hole of despair and distraught and disaster by adjusting the insurance claim for you, not the insurance company. Brown O'Haver routinely gets 30 to 40% more than folks get on their own. So call Brown O'Haver, 405-735-5510. Talk to any of our talented, attentive, customer service-focused public adjusters. We're all available to help. And we are so thankful to our clients that this year have given Brown O'Haver their best year ever in terms of a business. It really means a lot that people trust us. with their insurance claim, trust us with something so important going on in their lives. And we want to say thank you to our clients and to our future clients. Trust the people that have trusted us because they have made a lot of money or they wouldn't be hiring us. 405-735-5510. Kevin, keeping with the University of Texas and the Alamo Bowl, the bowl game near and dear to both you and I's heart. How is Texas going to fare against the Washington Huskies?
You know, it's interesting, right? With these bowl games, I think over the last few years, really starting with Christian McCaffrey, when he declared for the NFL draft and he decided not to play in their bowl game. And that's become a trend now, right? With top NFL prospects deciding not to do that. So this is the case with Texas this year, right? No Bijan Robinson. He's entering the draft as expected. He's not going to play in the bowl game. Second running back, Roschon Johnson, also not playing in the bowl game. And their linebacker, DeMarvion Overshown, won't be playing in the bowl game. So you have to look at that. Washington's a really good team. They quietly had a really good season, 10-2 out in the Pac-12. They averaged 40 points, almost 41 points a game. They put up huge numbers. They let about 26 a game, so not as great defensively as they usually are. But it's going to be a tough matchup. For Texas. I think they can win it, but it's going to be tough.
I'm having the same problem with OU. Is I'm focused on all the guys we're losing. Has Washington? First of all, I know Washington hasn't lost a Bijan Robinson. I understand that because there's very few of them out there this year. But have they lost some other significant players, or are they because they finished 10-2, or they kind of staying a little tighter together?
Yeah, I haven't heard about them having any top prospects that will not be playing in the bowl game.
Right.
Yeah, so I expect them to be at full strength.
So who are we looking at taking over Bijan's carries?
Okay, Jonathan Brooks. He's running back out of Hollisville, Texas. He hasn't played much because he's stuck behind Bijan and Roschon. But when he has played, he's played well. He had a touchdown in the Red River Shootout in the fourth quarter against OU.
Everybody had a touchdown against OU that night, but go ahead.
Well, and then he had a long 70-yard touchdown run against Kansas, and the blowout went up there. So he's a really talented guy, just hasn't had any chances. So he'll likely be starting, and then we'll have Keelan Robinson playing, who's transferred out of Alabama. He's a smaller running back. And then Jaden Blue is a true freshman. So those would be the running backs going against UW.
To me, we'll talk about this with OU. OU's losing two offensive linemen. How's your offensive line being affected? Have you had any defections there, or
no? The whole line will be playing, and our best player is Kelvin Banks, who's a true freshman. So
I think that is huge for these bowl games. When you can have an offensive line and then subsequently a defensive line that's experienced, that you can count on, that knows how to play with each other, that's going to help your running backs, and that's going to be huge against Washington. I saw that you know what? I don't even know. What's the line on the Texas game? I should have pulled that up.
It's 4.5. Texas is favored by 4.5 points.
But ESPN score predictor has y'all like 74% chance of winning. Did you see that?
I did see that, but you know how that thing is. They had a 70% against TCU, to win that game. So you just never know with this team. I just like this Washington team. Their quarterback, he was a transfer from Indiana, Michael Penix Jr. He was their quarterback when they beat Penn State a couple years ago on the opening night. So he's a really talented guy. I believe he leads the nation in passing yards, 4,354 yards with 29 touchdowns. So they throw the ball a lot.
What's weird to me is Washington's two losses, because they lost to a not very good. Well, they lost to a good UCLA team, but then to a not very good Arizona State team.
Yeah,
and
Arizona State was not.
But then they beat Oregon. They beat Oregon State. They beat Michigan State. I don't know how good Michigan State was this year, but they got some pretty good wins. So it's just they had a real opportunity. If Oregon doesn't beat them, I guess, did they not play Utah?
They did not play Utah at all this season.
How does that work? How do they not have to play Utah or USC?
Yeah, schedule really worked out for them this year. It's like that sometimes, yeah.
Is that weird though? I thought they were. If you're in this, do they not? They have a North and South division, right?
I think they scrapped those. divisions.
Oh, so, really? They're all in one division. It's just one conference
they're
now.
All in one division, yeah.
Oh man, yeah. Because I'm sitting here thinking to myself, well, golly, aren't they in the North? They should have had to play Utah. Well, that's crazy. Okay, well, but still, man, to miss out, and so that's a little skewed. Those were your two best teams in the conference, so you didn't have to play those. You escaped playing those. You wonder what your record would have been in that case. But I agree, Washington looks really good on paper, and not having Bijan and Roschon, I don't know. I don't think it hurts as much as losing offensive linemen, though.
I see that, but Bijan, I mean, he's the best player on the football team, right? So anytime you lose your best player,
well, and Overshown's is Overshown your best defender?
Actually, no. Jalen Ford had a better season than
he did
at linebacker, but he's just really dynamic, right? And he can just do a lot of different things. He can rush off the edge. He can drop into coverage. He's done good at that.
What's his draft grade going to be?
I have no idea. I don't know what NFL scouts are thinking about him, because to me, he's still a better athlete than linebacker. I think he's still learning how to play. He was a safety his whole career. He played 2 years at Texas at safety before he switched to linebacker. So he's still learning how to be a linebacker. So really, I have no clue where he gets drafted.
He is a dynamic athlete. But yeah, to your point, man, I don't see him he's not a first round pick. And
no way.
And I'm late second round, maybe, just based on athleticism.
I have no idea where he goes. But he's a 5th-year senior and stuff. So.
Oh yeah, no, he's got to go. I mean, and I don't know that he definitely doesn't have to. I think we've all kind of gotten over this factor of playing in these bowl games. You like to see guys play. You'd love to see Bijan play one last ball. I mean, you would love to see it, but at the same time, it's like, for what? To what end? To what end?
Back. Yeah, I mean, look about it, man. Jalen Smith, right? That's what these players look at. Remember Jalen Smith, the linebacker from Notre Dame? He's about to be a top 5 pick, playing in the Fiesta Bowl against Ohio State, and just destroys his knee. He's never been the same.
Yeah.
He's had a productive NFL career, but nothing compared to what he could have been.
Score. We're a little bit out, but I need a score prediction from you. You're a 4-point favorite. Who are you picking?
Yeah, I'm going to pick Texas to win the game. Really, again, this is all dependent on Quinn. This is Quinn Ewers game right here.
Yeah.
Right? This is going to be how much he improved.
I think it's a Steve Sarkisian game. I think if Sarkisian can call a good game, because when Sarkisian calls a good game, y'all are a good team. When he calls a bad game, you just don't have the talent to overcome bad play calls that take the ball out of your running backs' hands. And even though you don't have Bijan and Roschon, you've got good talented running backs. Quinn has to have that. He has to have that running game to be successful. He has to. So I hear you that it's a Quinn game. I would argue it's a Sarkisian game. What's your score?
All right, I'm going to say Texas 31-27.
Okay, well, I got to look up the line then. Because if it's 4.5.
It's 4.5. It's 4.5.
Oh, it is 4.5. Is that on DraftKings? Because that's where we've always been picking them.
No, this is on ESPN. I haven't looked on DraftKings.
I'm looking on DraftKings. We're going DraftKings. Let's be consistent, Kevin. If nothing else, we're going to be consistent.
Let's do it.
What are we, Thursday? Is that right?
Yeah.
Games are back to back, dude. They're back to back, which is just awesome.
Our games are back to back.
No, I've got 4. So that's the push. You can't pick a push. You either got to give me 32-27 or 31-28. You got to make a call. We can't do a push.
We'll go 31-28 then. 31-28.
Okay, so you're saying Washington covers. Kevin says Washington covers.
Yeah, Texas wins outright. Washington covers.
I think Texas wins 35-24. 21. I don't know why. I'm not in love with the Pac-12 still. I'm just not.
Okay.
It's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting to see how they do in bowl games. We're going to start getting some of those early next week where we're starting to see the big boys play. And I'm really curious to see how they stack up in the bowl games compared, because I think there's always that chance that once they started league play and we got enamored with USC and they were looking so good, but you forget that they're playing other Pac-12 teams that aren't any good, except for Notre Dame. They did beat Notre Dame pretty good. USC, I mean. But I'm still taking Texas 35-21. But I agree. Quinn has to have a good game, and Sarkisian's got to call a good game. Oklahoma plays Florida State in the Cheez-It Bowl, which I got to tell you, I appreciate the Alamo Bowl not completely selling out and changing the name of their bowl altogether. Who's their sponsor? Who's Alamo Bowl's sponsor?
I think it's Valero.
Is it still Valero? Hey, that's fine. The Valero Alamo Bowl is fine. At least they're not like, they just like drop Alamo all of a sudden and it's just the Valero Bowl. I think that's so weak. Like, give some indication of where it's at. We're playing the Cheez-It Bowl.
I completely agree with that, by the way.
Yeah. We're playing in the Cheez-It Bowl, and it just sounds so weak. Like, I hate it. If you said it was the Cheez-It, where's this game at? In Orlando? It's not the Outback Bowl. What bowl would it have been?
I don't know. Was it the old Citrus Bowl, maybe?
It might have been the Citrus
Bowl.
Bowl.
Was that more of a day game, though, right?
Not the well, it was back in the day, but they used to have more games on New Year's Day, you know? There used to be more.
Yeah. So maybe it's the old Citrus Bowl. I don't know.
It might be the old Citrus Bowl, but man, call it. Even if it's the Cheez-It Citrus Bowl, then I can at least know what bowl we're talking about. But the Cheez-It Bowl just sounds terrible. It's in Florida, playing a 9-3 Florida State team. This is a good team. Points per game, Florida State averaged 36.2 points per game. Oklahoma averaged 32.9. So we've got two pretty good offenses. Here's where the disparity is glaring, though, right? Defensively, Florida State is giving up 19.7 points a game. Oklahoma, 10 more points a game, 29.6. I mean, that's a touchdown and a field goal in every game that they're giving up. So that's not great. Yards, almost identical. OU at 472. Florida State, 475. Again, offenses are going to be pretty similar. I looked at the rushing and the passing. Again, like very, very, very similar. Yards allowed, and we talked about this in the last podcast. I know it's been a while since we've had one, though, so I'll remind everybody. Florida State gives up 307 yards a game. Oklahoma gives up 50% more yards a game, 450 yards a game. I got to tell you, Kevin, this is going to be a very difficult game for Oklahoma to win. First of all, Oklahoma is not a good team. Okay? They're just not. Florida State has three losses, okay? And their three losses are to Wake Forest, NC State, and Clemson. Those three teams are better than Florida State. So they lost to three better teams. Notable wins include a win over LSU in week 1, which was kind of fluky, but hey, a win's a win.
It's a great game, though. It's a fun game to watch.
Destroyed Miami 45-3. They destroyed Syracuse, who I think was ranked at the time, 38-3. And they beat up an SEC team in Florida 45-38 in a rivalry game. My point being is Florida State's a good team. Oklahoma's not. I can't get past the obvious. Then let's layer on the fact Eric Gray, running back, not playing. Anton Harrison, not playing. Wanye Morris, that's two offensive linemen, not playing. Plus Jalen Redmond on the defensive line. And I don't even know who else. I've lost count of who else is not playing. Florida State, there's nobody like jumping out. None of their quarterbacks playing, their running backs playing, their leading wide receivers playing, their leading tackler, who's a defensive back, which I think is kind of weird that their leading tackler is a defensive back. I don't know what that even means. But so my point being is there is nothing I can point to that has Oklahoma winning this game. Am I being just incredibly pessimistic or am I being incredibly realistic?
No, I think you're being realistic here. And the biggest thing for me is the players that aren't playing. Right? If Eric Gray was playing, I would feel a lot different about this. And if Anton Harrison or either one of them or
Yeah.
Wanye Morris was playing, I'd feel
Yeah,
a lot better about
just
this.
give us
And
one
here's
of them.
why. Here's why. I mean, anytime you're playing without your two starting tackles, that's a big deal. But it's this guy for Florida State, Jared Verse. Okay, he's an edge rusher. He's a transfer. Last year he was playing at Albany. Apparently he was an undersized kid coming out of high school, didn't have any D1 offers. Goes to Albany, develops into a stud pass rusher, hits the portal, right? I looked at his film, at least his highlights, at Albany, and this guy was all over the field. I mean, he was a dynamic looking edge rusher. Now he's coming to Florida State. They got him 7.5 sacks this year. Also led the ACC in tackles for loss, right? He's a guy, he's only a redshirt sophomore, but he's draft eligible. But I haven't heard anything about him not playing in the bowl game. I haven't heard about him declaring for the draft. I think he can be a first-round pick if he goes to the draft this year. Again, I haven't seen anything about him not playing. If he does play, watch out. Because, like I said, he's a dynamic rusher, and you're without both your starting tackles. So that can lead to a long game for the OU offensive line.
I mean, here's the deal, dude. Like you talk about Eric Gray, and I'm going to make the same argument I made when we talked about Texas. If we had our two offensive linemen, the Eric Gray loss would hurt. Eric Gray has been a dynamic running back for us. I'm glad he's going to go to the pros. He's done his job. This isn't a knock on him. But if we had Eric Gray and we didn't have those two offensive linemen, I'd still be really, really concerned about this game. If we had the two offensive linemen and we had Javonte Barnes, I'd be like, you know what? Javonte's going to play pretty good. Like, I think I could see us having a situation where Javonte has a good game. Javonte Barnes, two rookies on the sides playing against the talent level, just like you described here with Verse at Florida State. Dude, listen, we had a hard time blocking Texas Tech and West Virginia and, Baylor and all these teams. Baylor's playing right now against the Air Force and they're getting beat, and we lost to them. So I don't know, man. It just, the whole thing is making me nervous. We do have Dylan Gabriel playing. We do have Marvin Mims. Both of them made the comment this week that they are waiting to announce after the game their future intentions. Dylan Gabriel's not going pro, is he? I can't imagine.
Yeah, I don't think so, right? I mean, listen, if I'm an OU fan, I would really want Dylan Gabriel to hang around next year. And listen, I know Jackson Arnold is a superior talent.
Yeah, but you want
guy, but
you gotta have the depth. You have to have the depth.
Yeah, you have to have depth, and I just don't want a true freshman out there. Quinn Ewers is a redshirt freshman this year, and you saw what you got. You got incredible highs and some really deep lows, right?
Yeah.
And that's what you have when you have freshman quarterbacks. So that's why I wouldn't want Jackson Arnold out there so quick. So if I'm an OU fan, I would really hope that Dylan Gabriel comes back.
We talked about Marvin Mims. He's playing in the bowl game, which is a win for us. I think it's an indication that he's going to stay a year. It's all about his draft grade. And, we talked about that with like Overshown. They get, for those that aren't familiar with the process, the NFL will give out, within the confines of the rules of the NCAA, they will give draft eligible players a projected draft grade. Like, you are likely a first round draft pick. You are likely a second to third round draft pick. You're likely a, whatever the case may be, 6th round draft pick. If you're Marvin Mims and you're not getting a number 2, if you're not getting a second round grade, if you can compare that, to NIL money, dude, you get with Brent Venables and go, you want me to stay another year? Give me a guaranteed NIL deal that is that's almost 4th round money. Like, some of these NIL deals are almost 4th and 5th round money. So you get a guaranteed 4th or 5th round money deal. You play another year at Oklahoma, you improve your draft stock, and then you go get drafted in the 1st or 2nd round. That's a win. That is a win all the way around if you're Marvin Mims.
Huge win.
So I kind of think that that's a possibility. I just can't imagine in this day and age, if you're going to go pro, you're playing in the bowl game, especially the aforementioned Cheez-It Bowl. It doesn't even make sense.
That I agree with. I do agree with that. I just wonder, though, with him, what does he think about this coaching staff compared to the last one? Has he clicked with his coaches more as much as he did with the last one? I'm wondering if he's a guy that considers going into the portal.
Well, I guess anything's possible. The argument I would make to him, and I like Marvin Mims. I think he's a good guy. I think he's the kind of player you want on your team. So I'm Marvin, if you're listening, I'm not picking on you, but from a stat perspective, a lot of the lack of production falls directly on the shoulders of Marvin Mims, or more specifically, in and out of his hands. He had a number of catches that should have been touchdowns this year. That's just facts.
He did have some inconsistent hands.
And so his targets might have been down, but his effective targets, he could have had plenty of multiple touchdown games.
Yeah.
And it's something to be said that, hey, it's like, yeah, maybe your targets aren't where they want to be, but when you get the opportunity, just like in the NFL, when you get the opportunity, you have to make that play. You have to make those plays. You're not just going to get fed 12 targets a game. That's not realistic. And it shouldn't be realistic at OU either. We should have enough wide receiver talent that we don't have to do that. And then that's the argument I'd make to him is, hey, give us another year, A, in the system, but B, you're going to be better than you were last year. UNDG's timing's getting better. Things are going to get better. Let's just see what happens. I don't know. That's kind of the argument I'd make. I don't know.
I just wonder, man. I don't know. And I know OU fans would hate this, but man, what if he ends up at like USC or something? I think OU fans would just lose their minds.
Well, the only thing it would be insanely terrible, and I'd go into a pit of depression. However, I think if he was going to go to USC, he would have gone last year. I'm not taking the fact that he might not transfer out, but he was going to transfer if Lincoln Riley stayed. So why is he going to go play for Lincoln Riley? I could see him transferring, I guess. But I don't think it's USC. I think it would be somewhere. I don't even know where it would be. You look at like a Jaden Hazelwood. He went to Arkansas. His numbers weren't more. I don't know that he improved his draft stock at all at Arkansas over if he'd have stayed at OU. Do you?
Yeah, correct. No.
So
no, I don't.
I'll tell you the more interesting one is Dylan Gabriel. Like, I appreciate that he's waiting until after the bowl game, but I just don't know. He can't go. He's not ready for maybe he's never going to be ready for the pros. I don't know, but he's not a top 3 or 4 round pick at quarterback. Number 2, where is he going to transfer that's a better opportunity than Oklahoma? I can't.
Exactly. Yeah. I don't see it. I don't see it either.
He's got the coach he wants. He's got the cachet with Oklahoma that he wants. He's got the talent around him. In the case of some the number 5 recruiting class, he's going to have dudes all around him. I can't even imagine that making sense that he's going to transfer somewhere. I mean, unless he wanted to go back to Hawaii or something just because he wants to play closer to home because it's his last season. But other than that, I can't imagine a strategic transfer that benefits him any better than playing at the University of Oklahoma.
And who knows? Maybe he puts his name maybe he gets a draft evaluation from the NFL just to see. I think any draft eligible player should do that, but yeah, it's interesting, man. Or is he threatened by the whole Jackson Arnold thing? I mean, does he feel like the fans may turn on him? Because that's a hard thing, man. And it happens.
I know that there was word going around that we were being too hard on Dylan Gabriel as Oklahoma fans. And again, on the Boomer Bevo podcast, please follow us on Twitter. I don't talk crap about players, and neither do you. We just don't. We don't even talk crap about Texas players and Oklahoma players. We're pretty positive guys. And I don't think you have to go there to get a point across about anything. But in terms of Dylan Gabriel, I'm just going to say you're the quarterback at Oklahoma and you went 6-6. Like, you probably got an NIL deal. I don't know what it is, but you probably got an NIL deal. You're playing a very important position in college football, the quarterback at Oklahoma. It's the same thing with Quinn. Just because he's a redshirt freshman didn't excuse him from some of the stupid passes he threw against Oklahoma State. It doesn't. You're the quarterback in Texas. So, you have to deal with that. And I think to an extent, Dylan Gabriel, if he can't deal with that, then maybe he shouldn't be the quarterback at OU. That's not what I want. But come on.
I thought Dylan Gabriel had a really good season last year. I thought he was better than I expected him to be.
He's not the reason we went 6-6. He is not the reason we went 6-6.
And the thing is, man, listen, when the defense is bad, especially when everybody was expecting, right, the defense would have a vast improvement this year with Brent Venables and bringing in his scheme and, the discipline and everything. Everybody thought the defense was going to be really good, and it just hasn't been for whatever reason.
We looked really good against Nebraska.
So I think when you have that, it did, right? With
fantastic.
How bad those teams are, especially Iowa State. And then you see that when that happens, man, everything that Dylan Gabriel does gets magnified. Every mistake. He missed like 2 throws against TCU, and people were talking about it's the end of the world, right? It's because everything else was so bad.
Well, here's what I mean though when I say that he's 6-6 and he's got to deal with it. He is not the sole reason we're 6-6, but he had opportunities to win games and didn't. Okay? He had the opportunities to make plays and he didn't make those plays. And so that's my point. Like there's plenty, but we were 6-6. There's so much blame to go around, but the quarterback has to take some of that. He has to.
Oh, absolutely. And the thing about at OU, right, you're living in the shadows of what you've had at quarterback recently, right? If Jalen Hurts is the worst quarterback that OU has had, since 2015. The worst. This guy might win the NFL MVP this year. And he's looked at before, not talking about Dylan Gabriel, right? Or even Spencer Rattler, right? But
Kevin,
when you have
one of the most hated quarterbacks in OU history is Landry Jones, who still holds almost every Big 12 record for passing. It's insane.
Yeah, so it's just it's a high standard, man.
It's a high standard, but you knew that
realistic standard.
But you knew it when you signed up for it.
Of course, yeah.
I mean, okay, but it's the same. It's the same thing with coaching at Texas. Now, is that an adult getting paid? Whatever. Yeah. Okay. Fine. But it going in. You're the quarterback at OU. Yeah. You've seen what happens. You're following all these guys. You know exactly what happened between Spencer Rattler and Caleb Williams last year. You know exactly what happened. You know what Spencer Rattler had to go through. So don't tell me that you're somehow surprised that OU fans are buttholes to their quarterback. Oh, okay. Yeah. When we're losing, we are. And
I'm not surprised.
No, but I don't care. I'm not going to apologize. I'm not apologizing to Dylan Gabriel for being hard on him when we're 6-6. Like, dude.
No, the standard is a standard, right?
The standard's the standard.
Is what the standard is.
My point is he's not going. He's not going anywhere. That's all I'm saying is maybe he's going somewhere, but he's not going anywhere for any strategic reason that's going to help his career. That's all I mean. Yeah. This is as good as it gets. All right.
And I agree. You want to hope that he's there next year, though, because you don't want to be relying on Jackson Arnold.
No, I want to be very clear about whatever I just said is fine. I want him to be our quarterback on opening day. It's just that's the facts. He gives us the best opportunity to win, especially early in the season. That's just the way it goes. Kevin, we have Christmas on Sunday. Today's Thursday. On Sunday, you don't have any kids yet. I don't know what you and Casey are taking so long to do, but I've got kids. They are fired up. Dude, listen, I've got girls, and we're talking, I hope they're not listening to this, football gifts, football-affiliated gifts, and I am fired up. It is like my dream come true as a dad. It is my dream come true as a dad. There was a present wrapped for them that has been, that Kyle Brand from Good Morning Football has sent to our house to deliver to our girls to open before the Dallas Cowboy Philadelphia Eagle game on Christmas Eve. And they knew exactly what that's about. And that gets me so fired up that I have an 11-year-old girl and a 10-year-old girl. And they were like, wait a minute, we have to open this before 3:30 on Saturday? The Cowboys play the Eagles at 3:30 on Saturday. And I'm like, oh my God, I love this. Yes, you're the best. I'm so far. My son, my 24-year-old son doesn't know that the Cowboys and Eagles play at 3:30 on Saturday. So I don't know what I was doing.
I don't know about that. And Jeffrey's a fan.
He's a good fan. He's actually a good sports fan. He shot even par the other day in the cold. Just that kid, here's the thing with Jeffrey. Jeffrey is like, okay, those running backs that you know the running backs, they're like, hey, if he needs 3 yards, he'll get you 4. But if he needs 5 yards, he'll get you 4. You heard that like analysis? That's Jeffrey as a golfer. Mm-hmm. Okay? If you need a 73 out of somebody, Jeffrey's your man. It could be wind and rain and cold and miserable conditions and a tough golf course, and he's going to shoot 73. However, if the weather is perfect and there's no wind and the greens are in great shape and the course is just fantastic and everybody else is going low, he's also going to shoot 73. That is just the nature of his game. It made it all his, he had, I'm trying to think, at least 3 wins in high school in summer tournaments. And they were all 3 on the toughest golf courses on the windiest days. He would just, because he was just steady Eddie the whole time, and he would win and he would win. But the times when kids had to go shoot 66 to win a tournament, no, that wasn't him. So there you go. Great golfer on a windy day. If you've got a scramble out there and you need a really good golfer and you know the weather's going to suck, give Jeffrey a call, 405-735-5510. He will be your crappy weather ringer. Kevin, what do you want for Christmas? Anything? Got anything on the list?
Nah, man.
Nothing?
Just good health, man. And just family.
Not me, dude. My list was like
I don't care about material stuff, man.
My list was like a mile long. You know what I wanted for Christmas? I wanted Peyton Bowen, and we got him. So I'm all fired up.
Congratulations, man. Hey, listen, no, I mean, again, we can't say how big this is for OU. I mean, to get a 5-star safety like that from Notre Dame, I mean,
yeah, no, and out of the state of Texas. Look, Oklahoma has to win. They have to be able to compete, and they do. So this isn't like some news flash, but they have to continue to be able to compete against Texas and Texas A&M. Like they have got to be every bit as a big dog as those guys are, and it's good to see. But Texas, it's funny when you don't have drama, you have a quiet third place or a third ranking. That's just fantastic for Texas. I got to tell you, OU and Texas are doing what they need to do this recruiting class in order to migrate into the SEC. I mean, this is when Alabama's 1 and Georgia's 2 and Texas is 3 and Oklahoma's 5. All of a sudden, you're thinking, maybe we are. Maybe going to the SEC is going to be okay. Oklahoma's got to show a lot of improvement. Sarkisian's got to call better plays for Texas. But I think OU and Texas are going to have an absolute shot at being very competitive in the SEC. I just believe that. So,
yeah, one thing on Sark before we go. Yeah, it's funny because we knew Sark as an offensive guru, right? And to me, this year, he was actually a better head coach than play caller. I thought he did a really good job as a head coach, but as a play caller, I thought the team was good overall. But sometime as a play caller, he left a little bit to be desired.
I think it depended what half. I think it depended what half it was in, because in the first half he was a heck of a play caller.
Yeah,
in the first half he's calling he's calling plays and has offensive production like Lincoln Riley, like seriously, like very effective, very like just whatever the right word is, great play calling at the right play at the right time, and he was doing but then you get in the second half and he just went brain dead. I mean, it was just the play calling in the second half. I'm an Oklahoma fan, and I could care less if Texas wins. And the play calling in the second half drove me nuts from Steve Sarkisian. I could not stand it.
Yeah, it was a lot of games. It was crazy. But again,
But 4 losses though, including a Texas Tech loss in overtime, and you still want to say he's a better head coach than an offensive play caller? You're going to stick with that?
No. I said this year.
I mean, a head coach?
This year.
Yeah, but this year you had an overtime loss in Texas Tech. We did too, but our coach, we suck right now. I'm just saying.
Well, in Sark's defense, and look, and again, I told you.
Sark's defense, you had a double-digit lead in the fourth quarter, Sark's defense.
Listen. You have heard me say multiple times, I am not sold on Sark as a head coach.
You just said he was a better head coach than play caller. You just said he was a better head coach than play caller.
This season. Yes, the team was better this season than they were last year.
Dude, listen.
They were really not better than last year. They're 5-7.
God, I hope to hell so. Good Lord. Listen, I hope people are listening to the 59th minute because this just got good. This just got good. You are normally an incredibly sane, rational fan, and somehow, since a win over Baylor, you have somehow convinced yourself that you have what you call is a good head coach. When you're 8-4, and some of your losses were inexplicable.
I literally said I am not sold on Sark as a head coach. You're the one celebrating Brent Venables.
Recruiting. Celebrating his recruiting. Very happy with it.
Despite giving up 450 yards of
no joke,
defensive yardage in year one.
And 29 points a game. Don't forget 29 points a game, Kevin. 29 points a game and 450 yards.
Yes.
Are you
really caught up in the result of this bowl game? Because
I was about to say,
I don't think it's effective.
Florida State is
who do you got?
I guess I have to pick it, right? God, I almost got out of here without having to pick it.
Yeah,
Florida State's a 9-point favorite. Florida State covers. They win 34-21. Florida State wins 34-21. Win and cover. What do you think?
I got Florida State. I've got them 34-24 though. I don't. That's who they cover. 34-24.
Yeah, so they both cover.
It's literally just, and the only reason is just because the tackle's being out. Do you have any idea who's going to be starting at tackle for you guys?
That is not the only reason. Defensively, we can't hang. This is a talented team. They've got talent. They've got a good coach.
I'm curious
but the tackles hurt too.
You get 15 practices, right? Don't you get 15 practices for the bowl game? I'm curious to see what happens during those practices. Do you simplify things? How does the defense look? That's what I'm gonna be looking for more than anything else. I love it. Dylan Gabriel.
I love it when coaches say that stuff. I love it when coaches go, what we really try to do is simplify the defense. Well, you know what? And you heard that from the Stoopses a lot, Mike Stoops a lot. And it's like, okay, if your defense is so dang hard, why wasn't it simplified like before you ever installed it? You know what I mean? Like, we're going to simplify it. It's like, what? Then your defense is too hard if you're having to simplify it for a bowl game. You've been doing defense now for 15 weeks. And now you're at a bowl game, and you're going to expect to simplify it now? We're in trouble. We are in trouble against Florida State. What's that?
Well, here's the thing, though, man. You can see improvement from year 1 to year 2, right? Looking forward. With Texas, right?
Yeah.
They were ranked like close to 100 in total defense. This year, they were like in the 30s. That's a huge, huge improvement. That's why the team was so much better this year. So it can happen. You got players.
Well,
coming in. So
look, dude. Justin Broyles was your starting safety next to Peyton Bowen. To Billy Bowman, and you're trading out Justin Broyles with Peyton Bowen. Now I know he's a true freshman and he's going to make mistakes. Justin Broyles was a redshirt 6th-year senior that was making. That dude. He peaked as a sophomore. So it was literally, this is as good as it's ever going to get. So I think that there are a lot of opportunities defensive. Well, first of all, there has to be opportunities. If you can't see improvement from this defense to next year, then we do have a serious coaching problem, right? I'm serious about that. If he can't improve off of 29 points a game and 450 yards a game, you're everything I've said, you're going to be exactly right, Kevin. It's going to be a very bad coaching job. But getting the guys, to me, looks pretty good. I like the direction they're going. I feel good. The recruiting class makes me feel good. The transfer portal makes me feel good. I never thought I'd say a defensive back from Texas Tech has me fired up. I feel really good about next season. I feel like crap about the bowl game. And I'm going to end it with that. Kevin, have a Merry Christmas. And we will talk after the Cheez-It Bowl and the Alamo Bowl. Boomer.
Let's go. Hook 'em.